Hello and welcome to this Monday, August 19th, 2019 episode of Sidekick Mastermind. Now, today's episode is about two things. The first is competition, the other is cooperation. And it's about solving and serving with competition and cooperation. Sometimes we're going to be able to do more through competition than we could through cooperation. Sometimes we will do more through cooperation than we could through competition. It's very interesting because when I've seen people, when interesting. Hello, this is Anthony. How may I help you? So I've got this brand new phone numbers from Comcast, and we just get calls like that, and they're just hang-ups. It's very interesting how this world works now. You get a brand new phone, you just get robocalls, and so many of them, of the calls that I get, a lot of calls where they know who I am. Comcast put me in some directory listing, and it's weird. It's really weird because they put my business name in wrong. I put in an adjustment. The guy supposedly put it through, but then canceled the other order. It's been a disaster through Comcast. And that's why in these villages, we're going to be our own internet service provider. And if you don't know what I'm talking about in the villages, my work, my passion is to build villages for both today and tomorrow, both today and the future. And how we're doing that is through the merging of technology and manufacturing for the creation of space when and where it's needed. And this is going to enable us to move space around to places that it's needed. It's going to enable us to also create entire villages where it's needed and entire manufacturing villages. These villages are going to have all the things that people need. Now, some are going to be more limited than others. It's going to depend on the need. But over time, the goal is to have decentralized production of food so that individual communities have control of their own food supply, so that they have protections against any number of things that could happen in the future. We are experiencing a world where we're experiencing a very different kind of world than ever before. And people are more connected and less connected at the same time. And it's the craziest thing when you really look at the reality of it, the reality of the competition around the world, the reality of the cooperation. We have people that are pretending to cooperate when they're in reality, they're in competition, when they should just be honest with each other and say they're in competition. So when people understand that it's okay to be in competition with your friends. Look at Bill Gates and Steve Jobs. They were friendly at times and not so friendly at times, but they, kind of had each other's backs too. And I think Steve Jobs would have preferred Microsoft be the other mobile company rather than Google come in and kind of steal things. And they did it through this open source model, which has its strengths and weaknesses. And I'm not completely opposed to the open source model. I just prefer Apple. I prefer what was created there. And I am a little concerned as an Apple user, and I don't know how things will change over time. Uh, I think that this next release is going to help improve a lot. We'll see. We'll see what happens this fall. This fall, I mean, this year Apple has really been playing a lot of catch up, and I think that they're going to show. Yes, we've taken the time to work things out because we realize where we've been slacking. We're investing in new areas. They've spent more in R&D than ever before, and Apple has been one to kind of sit on their cash and not spend it. And I think now Tim Cook is understanding. Look, we have a requirement as leaders, as one of, I mean, Microsoft, I believe Microsoft's number one right now in market cap. Let's take a look. We got Apple, that's number two, and Microsoft, that's number one. Amazon, number three, Google, number four. You look way down. If you look at the market caps of these companies, Apple's at 958.6 billion. Microsoft's at 1.053 trillion. And Tesla is at 40.23 billion. Now, Microsoft's market cap could literally lose $52 billion down to $1 trillion by the end of the year. No problem. $52 billion wiped out. That amount of money could completely buy up Tesla. I think we're in a very interesting time. Tesla's being manipulated. They've made the best car, and they're so far ahead of competition. If you have the money and the credit, there's no reason not to buy a Tesla. And that's what I'm doing with the housing industry. That's my goal. But being distracted with messages, I need to start disabling notifications on my Mac. What's the do not disturb on Mac? Oh, here we go. Let's see. Oh, here we go. That's easy enough. They just hide it. You have to scroll up. Or maybe it didn't exist before. Maybe I just added that. Sorry, the cat. I'm having some issues now. I'm so far distracted. And now I know it was itchy. Okay, so I think that a lot of us have to understand that we're not going to be perfect. And I've got cat hair all over me. And it's in my face and stuff like that. I'm not shaved. And I'm talking about a lot of grand ambitions and visions. And a lot of people don't even understand what I'm talking about, and that's okay too. But it's okay. to me whether I'm successful or not. Yes, I want to be successful, and I'm going to be frustrated the longer things take. But I feel pretty strong and confident in things. The biggest thing I feel confident in is the simple fact that when Tesla needs money, they get money. Elon's building slowly. He knows that that's what he's got to do. He knows that he needs to build these factories. He's in a constant competition. And he knows that the market cap can be a lot bigger. But we also need sales. And some people now are waiting for the Model Y. Some people are waiting on the Semi. He knows that there are manufacturing difficulties. He knows that there are technology difficulties. He knows that there are, a big part of it is manufacturing. You don't want to completely unleash the sales. This cat is rubbing all over me. And it's like, how is someone like this going to have any success whatsoever? How am I possibly going to have success? When I got cat hair flying around my face and can't even think straight because my nose is itching, and it puts me in a bad attitude, in a bad mental state. It's not that I don't love the cats, but it's just that I didn't choose these, and that's one thing. It's like a lot of things we don't have a choice in. It's like we're supposed to take care of the planet and the animals. And so, yes, take the time, do their litter, the food, water. I'm working to build it into my day when it's something that I completely do not like. It's like I used to love animals as a kid, and then as I've grown up, like hair is a big thing that bothers me because I want to wear a black shirt every day, and even without a black shirt, no one likes hair all over them. And so I've got a brush, I need to start working that into my day. But it's like all this time. It's like, okay, there's over a half hour. I spend a half hour a day just because of the cats. And so 1/48 of my day gets spent on something, and we've got to shift our mindsets because sometimes we just have to do it. Sometimes we just have to do something we don't like. It's like I used to shovel horse poop. I used to drive 45 minutes each way and shovel horse poop for someone in this very similar situation where someone else got an animal and then I was responsible for it. And not just the one horse, but I was responsible for like over 10 horses, just shoveling all their stalls because one person had one horse. And it was an absolute nightmare. It was one of the dumbest things I had ever seen. And it's like, I know they've got self-cleaning litter boxes and things like that. We need more innovations. But also, I need to get my stuff together because I need to take my wife out of the job. Honestly, I'm extremely frustrated right now over these cats, in all honesty, because if I could get my wife out of her job and not having to support me over $2,000 per month, it's sad. And you shouldn't have any faith in me if I cannot make any sales. You shouldn't have any faith in me if I cannot pull this stuff together. Because it's like these are things on my not to do list. It's like, no, I don't have time to deal with this stuff. When 8 hours is spent on sleeping, right there, 8 hours, uh, a third of my life just on sleep. So then when I take this 148, when I only have, so many available, and especially um, when this is something that I didn't grow up around cats. It's like, it's weird. It's like I like them, but there's something about them that I just am not a fan about. And I mean, I love my bird, and it's really weird how we like different kinds of animals, and it's like my wife absolutely loves cats. It's like at one point there were like 20 cats in our house, between upstairs in our house and then downstairs in the house downstairs, because my wife and their daughter and my wife's sister and everyone had these cats, and there were all these cats that had gotten pregnant because of irresponsible people letting their cats out. Irresponsible cat ownership. Luckily, our two male cats are neutered, and there are no female cats around them. They do not go outside. And part of that is like unfortunate, but on the other hand, it's like the one the one cat got let out. The cats got let out um, by my wife's sister's boyfriend at the time, and we had been telling her not to let the cats out, and he didn't care, of course. I think he was mad at the time or something. And, he saw that she was always letting the cats out anyway, so what did it matter? While the cats were running around playing, they ran up into the road. Me and my wife were like, oh, we need to go grab those cats. And we're going up to get them, and the one just ran right into the way and got hit by a car. That sucked. And then when she let the cats out, then she had a really bad flea problem. I mean, it was a disaster to get control over the flea infestation after that, because of letting cats outside and then letting them inside. And then from downstairs, they came up. Oh my gosh. When you have that kind of thing going on in your life, like that happened with us, and we got a handle on it. But it was like extremely, extremely hard. And then I dealt with a similar situation with the same landlord on their other rental properties in the city with cockroaches. And this is like, these are things that we need to be taken care of. Simplifying things in people's lives and creating a certainty. There's so much recycling that has to be done. There's so much work that has to be done. It's like solving these kinds of problems are what's important. Taking care of the wild animal populations. I mean, we introduced cats, and then you have these cats that are going and reproducing and reproducing. And I think there are like just as many wild cats as there are domesticated cats, because They've all been let out in roots. And then people feed them, and there's really no natural selection other than cars hitting them and stuff. It's man-made problems, and we need to actually come up with solutions. You know, someone like Elon Musk, he's one of the most notable people out there, and his company is still 1/20th the size of the other leaders. And he's building self-driving cars. When these things are fully self-driving, when this stuff is really taking over, I mean, they're at like, I think 0.5% of market share in new car sales. And when they reach like 2.5%, that's supposedly the tipping point. We can help this transition, but not just through podcasts. Like these podcasts that I'm doing are kind of all BS, but it's to attract the right people. I mean, I'm not really doing anything. I'm not really contributing, but I'm at a standstill physically, or I can do this and contribute through, getting messages out there, improving my own communication skills, improving myself, improving my own mental attitude. This week is about, building a positive mental attitude. And that's pretty hard if you're irritated about, cat hair and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, solve the problems. It is a real problem. Well, yeah, someone needs to do it. Someone needs to brush the cat each day. Someone needs to do these things. So I've carved out time. And when I add this stuff, it's like I added all this stuff and then it's like overwhelming. And then I like malfunction. And so now I'm getting back into the swing of things and getting myself together, working to hold myself accountable. This is an accountability thing. It's like you see my irritation, you see my frustrations and stuff. So it's like, okay, well, let's hold him accountable. If he's doing these law of success principles each week, I just started week 7 on day 43 of that podcast, or 44 today. And I think I've only missed the one day in all of that time. And I think I'm going to start taking a week off, or maybe not from the podcast, just from the other stuff, because the podcasts aren't that bad. I can do those. It's just the other stuff that becomes overwhelming. We all just need a day off sometimes. And I'm not going to hold myself to as strict a schedule. As long as I get the stuff done, the clocking in time isn't as important unless I'm, I've got other people that counting on me. I'm going to work to get ahead on things so that I can release episodes on time each day and film them ahead of time. But that's all been planned. It's just that I had to create the habits and start getting the content out. So I've got 43. Now I've got 250 podcasts on. That's pretty incredible to think about. That many different episodes. Well, the initial episodes aren't out, weren't published everywhere until I got to Anchor. So I would say like at least over 200 still are public. And I'll release the other ones publicly later. I still got them. But it's cool to look at this framework that I've put together for myself. That's what I'm looking at on my computer right now. And it's to help keep me, and each day I'm refining the framework. It's like, okay, at this time I do this, at this time I do this, at this time I do this, at this time I do this. And it keeps me accountable, but some of it's like I went back to zero and now I'm rebuilding it. And as long as I get the overall goal done, I'm okay. And I think you have to understand that for yourself. This episode was about solving problems, serving and solving, and cooperation versus competition. Oops. Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm still live on YouTube. That was weird. I accidentally hit back. So I'm going to end it here because I've really rambled a lot. But I want you to understand that it's okay to compete against your friends sometimes. Sometimes it's going to propel both of you forward. It's okay to cooperate with your competition. It's about solving problems and serving others. That's what you've got to stay committed to. And as long as people are having their problems, solved and their service needs met, that's key. And if those things aren't being met, then you need to compete with each other. You need to create that competition. You need to create, there wasn't enough competition because the oil industry kept buying it up. And now Elon finally said, you know what? I could have this money. I could have this money if I wanted it. The oil industry would buy me up in a heartbeat and make Tesla disappear. I know I could take the company private. You idiots need to stop listening to the analysts. You idiots need to stop listening to these outside people and buy cars. That's what Elon wants to say. That's what Elon should say. And it's hard for him not to, I'm sure. I'm saying this to everyone. We all need to stop being idiots. We all need to stop being so frustrated about things that we shouldn't be frustrated with. And understand that some of it is about changing our own personality, some of it is about changing the circumstances. It's about solving those problems. It's like if there's too much cat hair, you need to brush the cat more. Okay? It's like if it makes you have a bad attitude when you do it because you've got so many other things that you're working on. Well, some of that may be in breathing and that stuff. Some of it may be that's just not your thing. You're not to do on your not to do list. But I think there needs to be a balance too, because if you get too much power, it's like it's not that I should just be like Bhagwan. What's his name? Osho. He's just all the time. He was doing his drugs or whatever he was doing, reading and creating his content, but then he never actually did stuff. And I want my body to not fall apart. I want my body to stay strong. So, I intend on building the houses and stuff like that at times too. And it's like spending time with your pets, yes. But at the same time, I spend way over 8 hours a day with these cats side by side. And, I pet them and stuff like that. So it's like, they don't need my 100%, but when I start talking, then they want me more. And then so I need to have my own studio space away from the cat so that when I do my podcast, it's not getting in my nose and causing me to itch and that kind of thing. I need to solve that problem. And this is all in my own salesmanship, my own getting things together. Because in reality, if I don't get things together and start making sales, I'm selling 2020 studio units, and I'm going to manufacture them all in 2020, and then by 2021 we will be in the mass production stage. That's the goal. Now, I may be a little bit behind, but that's the goal, that's the mission. And I believe it's possible. But it's only going to be possible if I keep doing these podcasts, keep getting better and better in my communication, keep improving the problems around my own life. It's like these cats are in my life for the next 20 plus years. It's like they're my family. I've got to take care of them and take care of the problems that may arise with them. So I want to help other people understand it's like a process. It just make progress, have milestones, and cooperate when you can. But if you can't cooperate with people, understand your own limitations. I had a bad mental attitude. It was negative, and it still is at times. I mean, it goes in phases. I think everyone kind of goes in phases. We go down the path of creating bad habits, and we've got to create good habits again. And sometimes it's for that variety and that uncertainty. We get bored. We've got to be conscious of those things. Am I developing a negative mental attitude? And who thinks like that? Not many people actually think like that, unless someone's like, "Dude, you're a jerk." And I think I've been so hard on other people, and now that I've started these podcasts, I mean, even before I started the podcast, I have always been self-aware and introspective. But just because you're self-aware doesn't mean you can actually change those habits. Now I'm finally to the point where, oh, I've been saying these commitments, they're habits. It's all about the habits, not commitments. It's about the habits. And so once I made that shift to habits, now these habits are taking over my life. And whether I cooperate with people or compete with people, it's moving both of us forward. And like some people, it's like I want to cooperate with them and I can't. And so we're competing. And then other people I'm cooperating with and competing at the same time. I'm cooperating in one aspect and competing in another aspect. And we need to understand our own limitations, our own boundaries, and we need to be able to organize our time accordingly. Because with what I'm doing, it's like there are certain things that I want to help people with, but they're the margins and the numbers, they just don't work out because my numbers are so much bigger. They just don't work for me. They work for people. And that's why I've got to push this person to build their own strength. And I'm seeing that as we're competing, which is awesome. Competition is far, far more powerful than cooperation. It's like the iPhone has been innovating so much, but because of this competition, people think it sucks. The iPhone is extraordinary, but because of competition. What did I say? I don't know what I just called this. The Apple Watch. I don't know if I called it the iWatch because I thought iWatch in my mind. And so I don't know if I accidentally said iPhone or Apple Watch. It just came out. So my point is the Apple Watch is an extraordinary device, and people don't understand that because there's other extraordinary devices out there. But the Apple Watch is the best smartwatch. When I was a kid, I had a calculator watch. And now you look at this, it's like awesome. It's a computer on my wrist, full on computer in the newer versions. You can have different watch faces. You can have You can control your phone camera with your watch. You can detect your heart rate. You can detect, I had a pedometer a manual pedometer that I had on in my pocket or whatever, on my belt loop, that I used to walk around with. And that stuff was like hard to keep in the habit of. Even the habit of the Apple Watch. It's a habit that you have to create to keep putting it on. The habit of checking your phone. It helps you to get rid of the habit of checking your phone constantly, because it's like, oh, that notification was just this email from Onnit selling me, stuff. Okay, I don't need that. Like, oh, I've got all these other notifications. People liking photos on Facebook and messages. Oh, this message, yep, I need to respond. We're already cyborgs. We're already living in this world. If you want to live in a less tech world, I'm not saying you can't live in it, because we're now in an age where we're going back to building villages. People are about to be so scared to live in cities because of all these things that are going on. People are going to only want to live in tight knit, close communities where people look out for each other and understand what's going on with each other and get people the mental health care that they need. Real mental health care. That's the thing. They wouldn't need this mental health care if society wasn't like this. These mental health problems are a sign of flaws in society. We're about to enter into a recession. Everyone knows it. We've been putting it off for years, and now they're going to will it into existence to oust Donald Trump. They're going to create the fear in people. The stock market's everything. It's all manipulated. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy, but I'm saying it's manipulated by people's actions, by people's decisions. People don't want Donald Trump there. People are willing to destroy all the job creation. People destroy the economy, destroy everything in order to get him out of power. The way to offset that for yourself: start manufacturing, start employing people, start being fair, start creating money generation machines, make stuff, be competitive, innovate, design. This is key. Work to solve problems and serve others. Compete. If you have to go out and compete against your former best friend, sometimes it's going to be hard. But if they're not getting it through their head, sometimes you have to do it. Sometimes you're going to leave, and when you lose the cooperation, it's going to set you years behind. You've got to know what's right for you and what's right for the situation. Sometimes you're going to make the wrong decision. The point is innovating. The point is solving problems and serving. The more you focus on that, the better. Because if you're focused on that, then the competition heats up. You don't have time to focus on each other because you're too focused on solving problems and serving the customer. Thank you for another episode of the Sidekick Mastermind. Check out inspirelansing.com to learn more about what we are working on. Thank you. HappyHeroStudio.com. I did want to mention about that real quick. When you get to HappyHeroStudio.com, it explains a general overview of what these studio units are. We're going to be selling 2,020 of them. That's all. I decided to put that cap because I want to go into the mass production. It's about getting this started. That's what it's about. It's about opening people's ideas, their minds, to what can fit in a small space. What's really possible with the current technology. These shows, these podcasts are going to really help highlight all those things. So that's all for today. I appreciate you. Thank you. Hope to see you here tomorrow. Have a great day.